Imagine yourself in the shoes of a boy who sells sweets on the street to save his mother's life. Every penny counts. Every sale is a glimmer of hope. But what happens when fate throws an unexpected curveball, turning everything you thought you knew upside down? One day, I woke up to find the world crumbling around me. My mother needed urgent surgery, and I was her only hope. But how do you cope when it feels like the whole world is against you? Discover how a journey of desperation transformed into a story of inspiration, love, and transformation. Join me on this thrilling journey, and you'll find that even in the darkest moments, there's always a way out. Let's uncover together how to overcome obstacles, find inner strength, and change the world around us. In a small wooden house at the heart of a humble community, lived a 12-year-old boy named Lucas. His bright eyes and contagious smile hid the pain he felt deep within. His mother, Maria, was gravely ill, battling a chronic kidney disease that left her weak and exhausted. Each day was a struggle for Lucas, who watched his mother slowly deteriorate. The doctors said only a kidney transplant could save her, but the cost was astronomical, 50,000 reis, an unattainable sum for Lucas's family, who could barely make ends meet. However, Lucas did not give up. He remembered his mother's words, "Never give up on your dreams, son." And his dream was to save her. He spent sleepless nights searching for a solution until he had an idea. Lucas had always been fascinated by his grandmother's candy-making skills. As she made delicious treats for the community, he decided to use this talent to help his mother. With his grandmother's assistance, Lucas began making homemade sweets, brigadeiros, beijinhos, and cocodas. He packed them in colorful bags and took them to the streets. With a determined smile, Lucas started selling his sweets at the corner of the main street. "Sweets to save my mom," was his rallying cry. People passed by curious and some stopped to buy. Lucas counted every coin, every bill, dreaming of the day he could pay for the surgery. With each sale, Lucas felt a spark of hope. He knew he was doing something to save his mother, and that kept him motivated. Lucas's desperate dream had become a reality, and he was determined to make it work. But little did Lucas know, his dream was only just beginning to unfold. The unexpected encounter. It was a hot summer afternoon, and Lucas was beginning to lose hope. He had spent hours at the corner, selling his sweets to passers-by, but sales were slow. His stock of sweets was running low, and he feared he wouldn't meet his daily goal. Just when he was about to give up, a tall, well-dressed man approached. His hair was graying, and his blue eyes sparkled with an intensity that made Lucas feel uneasy. The man wore a perfectly tailored black suit, which contrasted sharply with the simplicity of the street. "How much do the sweets cost?" the man asked, his voice deep and smooth. 5 reis each," Lucas replied, trying to hide his surprise. The man smiled and said, "I want them all. How much will that be?" Lucas quickly calculated and replied, 50 reis. The man pulled an envelope from his pocket and handed it to Lucas. "Here's 100 reis. Keep the change." Lucas was stunned. He had never sold so much in a single day. Before leaving, the man leaned in and whispered, "You're doing something amazing, boy. Don't give up. There are people who care." And he left a message written on a piece of paper. "Meet me at the city park tomorrow at 5 p.m. Come alone." The man turned and vanished into the crowd, leaving Lucas perplexed and curious. Who was that stranger? What did he want? And why was he so interested in helping him? Lucas looked at the paper, feeling a mix of emotions. It was a mysterious message, but it also felt like a ray of hope. He decided to follow his instinct and go to the meeting. Perhaps that stranger was the key to saving his mother. The coded message. Lucas looked again at the piece of paper the stranger had left behind. The message was simple but intriguing. "Meet me at the city park tomorrow at 5 p.m. Come alone." He wondered if it was a trick, a prank, or something more. But there was something in the stranger's tone that made him trust him. Lucas decided to investigate. He examined the paper closely, searching for any hidden signs. Nothing. However, when he flipped the paper over, he noticed a small mark in the lower right corner. It looked like an ancient symbol. Intrigued, Lucas showed the paper to his grandmother, who was known for her wisdom. "Grandma, what does this mean?" he asked. She examined the symbol and said, It's a symbol of a secret society, Lucas. They use it to communicate. What? Lucas exclaimed. Secret societies have existed for centuries, his grandmother explained. They work in secret to help those in need. Lucas began to understand. The stranger was not just an ordinary stranger. The message is an invitation, his grandmother said. They want to show you something. Lucas felt a chill run down his spine. What could it be? He decided to go to the meeting, but with caution. He didn't know what to expect. The next day, at 5 p.m., Lucas made his way to the city park. The sun was starting to set, and shadows stretched long. He found an empty bench and sat down waiting. Suddenly, a man emerged from the shadows. It was the same stranger. Welcome, Lucas, he said. I'm here to show you a way. Lucas stood up, ready to follow. What was to come? The secret revealed. Lucas followed the stranger through the city park, passing centuries-old trees and ornamental fountains. The fresh air and the sound of birds created a serene atmosphere. They arrived at a small wooden house hidden among the trees. The stranger opened the door and invited Lucas inside. Inside, the house was simple yet elegant. There were medical books and laboratory equipment. Who are you? Lucas asked, curious. My name is Dr. Alexander, the man replied. I am a doctor specialized in kidney transplants. Lucas perked up. Can you help my mother? Dr. Alexander nodded. Yes, I can. But there's an obstacle. What is it? Lucas asked, anxious. The transplant list is long, Dr. Alexander explained. And your mother needs a compatible donor. Lucas felt a blow. What if we can't find a donor? Dr. Alexander looked at him with compassion. There's an option, but it's risky. What is it? Lucas insisted. An artificial organ transplant, Dr. Alexander responded. But it's expensive and experimental. Lucas became determined. I will find a way. Dr. Alexander smiled. I knew you were special, Lucas. He handed Lucas a paper with an address. Go there tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Find Dr. Silva. He can help. Lucas left the house, feeling hope and determination. He would find a way to save his mother, no matter what it took. The insurmountable obstacle. Lucas arrived at Dr. Silva's office, a middle-aged man with kind eyes. The office was filled with state-of-the-art equipment and medical books. I understand you're here to discuss your mother's case, Dr. Silva said. Lucas nodded, anxious. Yes, sir. Dr. Alexander said you could help. Dr. Silva looked at Maria's medical record. Yes, your mother needs a kidney transplant. But it's not just any kidney. What does that mean? Lucas asked. The kidney needed is from a donor with a very rare blood type, Dr. Silva explained. AB negative? Lucas asked. Dr. Silva was impressed. Exactly. You know quite a bit about this. I did some research, Lucas said. Well, the problem is that this blood type is found in only 0.5% of the global population, Dr. Silva stated. Lucas felt a blow. And how long does she have? He asked. Without the transplant, your mother has just a few weeks to live, Dr. Silva replied. Lucas felt desperate. But is there any hope? He asked. Dr. Silva looked at him with compassion. There's an option, but it's very risky. What is it? Lucas insisted. An artificial kidney transplant, Dr. Silva answered. But it's expensive and experimental, he added. Lucas became determined. I will find a way. Dr. Silva smiled. I knew you were special, Lucas. He handed Lucas a paper with information about the transplant. Let's work together to save your mother. Lucas left the office more determined than ever. The desperate search. Lucas left Dr. Silva's office with a mix of emotions. Determination and desperation were competing in his heart. He knew he needed to act fast to find a compatible kidney donor for his mother. Lucas began searching everywhere. He posted messages on social media, sought help from the local community, and even visited hospitals and clinics. However, the responses were discouraging. Many people didn't have the necessary blood type, while others were unwilling to donate. Lucas faced cruel rejections. I can't help, you know? I don't have time for this. It's not my problem. Each rejection was a blow to his heart. Lucas began to feel desperate. Maybe he would never find a donor. He spent sleepless nights thinking about his mother and the uncertain future. But then, He remembered his grandmother's words. "Don't give up, Lucas. Hope is the last to die." With renewed determination, Lucas continued his search. He visited churches, community centers, and even train stations. He handed out flyers and talked to strangers. "Please help my mother," he pleaded. With each step, Lucas was getting closer to his goal. But time was running out. The clock was ticking, and Lucas knew he needed to find a donor before it was too late. The miracle. Lucas was almost losing hope. Weeks had passed since he began searching for a kidney donor for his mother. He had visited every possible place, spoken to hundreds of people, but none were compatible. One day, while walking down the street, Lucas received a call from Dr. Silva. "Lucas, we have incredible news," the doctor said. "We found an anonymous donor who is compatible with your mother." Lucas was stunned. "Who is it?" he asked. "The donor wants to remain anonymous," Dr. Silva replied. "But they're willing to do the transplant today." Lucas ran to the hospital, his heart racing with excitement. Upon arrival, he saw Dr. Silva and a team of doctors ready for the transplant. "Where is the donor?" Lucas asked. "They're here," Dr. Silva said, pointing to an adjacent room. Lucas entered the room and saw a familiar figure. It was the stranger who had helped him before. "You!" Lucas exclaimed. "Why are you doing this?" The stranger smiled. "Because you showed me that hope still exists," he said. "And because I want to help your mother live." Lucas was overwhelmed with emotion. "Thank you," he said, hugging the stranger. The transplant was successfully performed. Lucas's mother recovered quickly, and the stranger, who turned out to be an anonymous philanthropist, vanished again, leaving Lucas with a story he would never forget. "The miracle happened," Lucas said to himself. "And I will never forget the angel who helped me." The day of the surgery finally arrived. Lucas was nervous but confident. He knew that the anonymous donor had given his mother a second chance. The medical team at General Hospital was prepared to perform the kidney transplant. Dr. Silva, the lead surgeon, was eager to get started. "Lucas, your mother is ready for surgery," Dr. Silva said. "We will do everything we can to ensure its success." Lucas nodded, trying to hold back tears. Lucas's mother, Maria, was taken to the operating room. She was calm, but Lucas could see the fear in her eyes. "Don't worry, Mom," Lucas said. "I will be here when you wake up." The surgery began at 8 o'clock in the morning. The medical team worked in sync, each doing their part to ensure the transplant's success. Dr. Silva made the incision carefully, while the anesthetist monitored Maria's condition. The donor's kidney was successfully implanted. The surgery lasted 4 hours. Finally, Dr. Silva emerged from the operating room with a smile. "Lucas, the surgery was a success," he said. "Your mother is stable and recovering well." Lucas let out a sigh of relief. He had passed through the trial by fire, and now he could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maria was taken to the ICU, where she would be monitored for 24 hours. Lucas stayed by her side, holding her hand. "Mom, you're going to be okay," he said. "The new kidney is working perfectly." Maria smiled weakly. "Thank you, son," she said. "I love you." Lucas smiled back. "I love you too, Mom." At that moment, Lucas knew it had all been worth it. The desperate search, the rejections, the sleepless nights. Everything had been compensated by his mother's smile. The recovery. The days following the surgery were intense for Maria's recovery. She was weak but determined to get better. Lucas was by her side the whole time, caring for her tenderly. Maria began to gradually recover. The pain subsided, and she started to feel better. The new kidney was functioning perfectly, and the doctors were optimistic. "You're making excellent progress," Dr. Silva said. "Soon you'll be back to your normal life." Maria smiled, relieved. "Thank you, doctor," she said. "I couldn't have done this without my son." Lucas felt proud. "I did everything for you, Mom," he said. At that moment, a man entered the room. It was the stranger. Lucas thought, "The anonymous donor." Maria exclaimed. The stranger smiled. "I came to check on how you're doing," he said. Maria was moved. "Thank you for giving me a second chance," she said, crying. The stranger stepped closer and hugged Maria. "You are an incredible person," he said. "I did this for you and for your son." Lucas joined the hug. "You're a hero," he said. The stranger smiled. I just did what was right, he said. At that moment, Lucas realized that the stranger was no longer a stranger. He was an angel, a hero who had changed his life forever. Now do you have a name? Lucas asked. The man smiled. My name is Gabriel, he said. Lucas smiled back. Thank you, Gabriel, he said. Gabriel said his goodbyes and left the room, leaving Lucas and Maria with a feeling of gratitude and love. Life is amazing, Maria said. Yes, Mom, Lucas replied. And now we have a hero forever. The legacy. After his mother's recovery, Lucas returned to selling sweets on the street, but now with a greater purpose. He was no longer just selling sweets to pay for his mother's surgery. He was helping others in need. The encounter with Gabriel had changed his life. He had learned that helping others was the key to happiness. Lucas began to use part of the money he earned from selling sweets to buy food and clothes for needy families. He also started visiting hospitals and orphanages, bringing sweets and smiles to those in need. News about the boy selling sweets to help others spread quickly. People began calling him the Candy Angel. Lucas felt proud to be making a difference. One day while selling sweets, he saw a girl crying in the street. What happened? Lucas asked. My dad lost his job, and we don't have money for food, the girl said. Lucas was moved and gave the girl all the money he had earned that day. Sell my sweets and use the money to help your family, he said. The girl smiled and hugged Lucas. Thank you, Candy Angel, she said. At that moment, Lucas realized he had found his true purpose. He was no longer just selling sweets. He was spreading love and hope. Gabriel appeared again, smiling. You're doing an excellent job, Lucas, he said. Thank you for inspiring me, Lucas replied. You are the true hero, Gabriel said. And with that, Lucas continued his work, inspiring others to do the same. The legacy of the Candy Angel had begun, and Lucas knew he would always have an angel by his side, guiding him on his journey to help others. Recognition. The community began to notice Lucas's tireless work. He had become a familiar figure on the streets, always with a smile and a candy to offer. People started talking about the boy who sold sweets to help others. Lucas's story spread quickly, and soon he became an inspiration to many. One day, Lucas received a call from the mayor of the city. Lucas, you are an example for our community, the mayor said. We would like to recognize your work with an award. Lucas was surprised. An award, he asked. Yes, the Youth Philanthropy Award, the mayor replied. You will be honored at a special ceremony. Lucas felt proud. Thank you, sir, he said. The ceremony took place in a large, packed theater. Lucas was called to the stage, where he received the award from the mayor's hands. Lucas, you are a true hero, the mayor said. Your work is an example for all of us. The audience applauded and Lucas smiled, feeling emotional. Gabriel appeared in the back of the theater, smiling. Congratulations, Lucas, he said. You deserve this. Lucas looked at the award, a bronze statue with a plaque that read, Youth Philanthropy Award Lucas, the Candy Angel. He felt grateful. This isn't just for me, he said. It's for all the people who helped me along the way. The ceremony ended with a dinner in Lucas's honor. He sat at the table with the mayor, business people, and community leaders. Lucas, you are a role model for our youth, said a businessman. Thank you, Lucas replied. I just want to help. The night concluded with a speech from Lucas. I want to thank everyone who supported me, he said. Let's keep helping others, because together we can make a difference. The audience applauded again, and Lucas smiled, knowing that his work was just beginning. Expansion. After the public recognition, Lucas began to receive investment offers to expand his candy business. He knew it was time to grow. I want to take my sweets to other cities, Lucas said to Gabriel, and create jobs for more people. Gabriel smiled. It's an important step, he said. But are you ready for the challenge? Lucas nodded. Yes, I am, he replied. Lucas started researching markets in other cities. He visited fairs, spoke with business owners, and analyzed market data. I found the perfect place, Lucas told Gabriel. A growing city, with a high demand for artisanal sweets. Gabriel agreed. Let's get started, he said. Lucas invested part of the cash prize he received in equipment and materials. He hired a team of employees to help with the production and sale of the sweets. The expansion began. Lucas opened shops in 3 neighboring cities, creating jobs for over 20 people. He also established partnerships with local suppliers, supporting the regional economy. The demand for his sweets increased. Lucas began receiving orders from all over the state. "We're growing fast," Lucas said to Gabriel. "But I don't want to lose control of the quality." Gabriel smiled. "You're doing everything right," he said. "Quality is your biggest asset." Lucas continued to innovate. He created new flavors, inspired by local cuisine. He also launched a line of vegan and gluten-free sweets. The clientele grew. Lucas became a respected entrepreneur. He was invited to speak at conferences about entrepreneurship. "Success isn't just about money," Lucas said. "It's about creating opportunities and making a difference." Lucas's expansion continued. He opened stores in other states. He created a foundation to support social projects. And he never forgot his roots. "I will always remember where I came from," Lucas said. "And I will always help others grow." Meeting a mentor. Lucas was expanding his candy business when he received an invitation to an entrepreneurship conference. He decided to attend, eager to learn from the best. Upon arriving at the event, Lucas was introduced to João Paulo, a successful entrepreneur with decades of experience. João Paulo had built an empire in food and beverages, and now he was an investor and mentor for young entrepreneurs. "Lucas, your business is amazing," João Paulo said. "But you need guidance to grow even more." Lucas felt honored. "Thank you, sir," he replied. "I'm looking forward to learning." João Paulo smiled. "Let's work together," he said. "I'll teach you everything I know." And thus began the partnership between Lucas and João Paulo. They met weekly to discuss strategies, marketing, and finances. João Paulo introduced Lucas to important contacts in the industry. "These people can help your business grow," he said. Lucas also learned about team management and leadership. "A good leader inspires their employees," João Paulo said. With João Paulo's guidance, Lucas significantly improved his business. He increased his clientele, enhanced the quality of his products, and expanded into new markets. "João Paulo, you're an amazing mentor," Lucas said. "I don't know what I'd do without your help." João Paulo smiled. "You're a natural entrepreneur," he said. "I'm just helping to unlock your potential." The partnership between Lucas and João Paulo continued for years. Lucas became one of the top entrepreneurs in the country, and he always remembered the lessons learned from João Paulo. "A good mentor can change your life," Lucas said. "And I'm grateful to have found mine." Anonymous donation. Lucas was sitting in his office, reflecting on his journey. He had achieved success in his candy business, but he felt he needed to do more. He thought of Gabriel, the angel who had inspired him to help others. "Gabriel, what can I do to help more?" Lucas asked silently. At that moment he received an idea. "I'll make anonymous donations to families in need," he thought. Lucas began researching organizations and families that needed help. He created a secret fund to make the donations. And he started sending money and food to those in need. No one knew who the donor was. Only Lucas and Gabriel knew the secret. The donations continued for months. Families were helped. Children received toys and clothes. Elderly people received care and attention. Lucas felt fulfilled. "I'm making a difference," he thought. One day, Lucas received an anonymous letter. "I want to thank the angel who helped me," the letter said. "You have no idea how your donation changed my life." Lucas smiled. "Gabriel, do you see this?" he said. Gabriel appeared beside him. "Yes, Lucas," he said. "You're doing what's right." The anonymous donations continued. Lucas became known as the Anonymous Angel. And his story inspired others to do the same. "A single act of kindness can change the world," Lucas said. And he kept making donations anonymously. The legacy of Gabriel. Lucas was sitting with Gabriel in a quiet park. He had always wondered about Gabriel's past. "Gabriel, who are you?" Lucas asked. Gabriel smiled. "I'm an angel," he said. "But I was also human." Lucas was surprised. "What do you mean?" he asked. "I lived many years ago," Gabriel said. "And my life was marked by tragedies and losses." Lucas leaned forward. "Tell me," he said. Gabriel took a deep breath. "I lost my parents when I was a child," he said. "And I was raised in an orphanage." Lucas felt emotional. But you didn't let that get you down, he said. Gabriel smiled. No, he said. I chose to help others. Lucas listened attentively as Gabriel told his story. He had helped people in need. He had built schools and hospitals. And he had inspired others to do the same. You're a true hero, Lucas said. Gabriel smiled. No, he said. I just did what was right. Lucas stood up. I want to continue your legacy, he said. Gabriel placed his hand on Lucas's shoulder. I know you will, he said. You have a noble heart. At that moment, Lucas realized that Gabriel was not just an angel. He was a symbol of hope, and a reminder that we can all make a difference. The legacy of Gabriel lives in me, Lucas thought. And he continued to help others. With Gabriel's inspiration, and with the knowledge that his legacy would continue, the story spreads. Lucas's story was becoming legendary. His candy business was thriving, and his philanthropy was inspiring others. One day, a local journalist contacted him. Lucas, your story is amazing, the journalist said. Can I write about you? Lucas agreed. The article was published in the next day's newspaper. The Candy Angel, the story of Lucas was the title. Lucas's story was detailed. His struggle to save his mother, his candy business, and his philanthropy. The article went viral on social media. People started sharing his story, and the inspiration began to spread. A local TV channel invited him for an interview. Lucas went to the studio, and he told his story to millions of people. I just want to help, he said. The interview aired, and the response was overwhelming. People began calling the studio. I want to help, they said. Lucas's story was inspiring a kindness revolution. People of all ages were volunteering to help, and Lucas's business was growing. He was receiving orders from all over the country, and his philanthropy was becoming a model for others. I'm just getting started, Lucas said, and he continued to inspire. With his story, and with his kindness, Lucas's story became a symbol of hope, and a reminder that we can all make a difference. And the inspiration continued to spread throughout the country and around the world. The challenge. Lucas was at the peak of his success. His candy business was thriving, and his philanthropy was inspiring others. But suddenly a challenge would arise. A large candy company, Sweet Delight, decided to enter the local market. They had unlimited resources and an experienced marketing team. We're going to eliminate the competition, said the CEO of Sweet Delight. Lucas was informed about the new competitor. He wasn't worried. My quality and my philanthropy speak for themselves, he said. But Sweet Delight was determined. They began offering low prices and aggressive promotions. Lucas realized he needed to react. He gathered his team. Let's create something new and innovative, he said. They worked day and night, and created a line of organic and vegan candies. This is what the market needs, Lucas said. Sweet Delight responded with an aggressive advertising campaign. Lucas is an amateur, the ad claimed. But Lucas didn't let that get him down. He used social media to tell his story. They may have money, but I have heart, he said. The community rallied around Lucas. They shared his story and supported his business. Sweet Delight began to lose ground. Their low prices weren't enough. The quality and philanthropy of Lucas were what the customers really wanted. I won't give up, Lucas said. And he continued to innovate and help. Sweet Delight finally threw in the towel. We can't compete with Lucas's heart, said the CEO. Lucas smiled. Love and kindness always win, he said. And he continued to thrive with his team and his community. The partnership. Lucas was looking for ways to expand his impact. He knew his philanthropy was making a difference, but he wanted to do more. One day, he received a phone call from a local NGO. Lucas, we're admiring your work, said the NGO's director. We want to propose a partnership. Lucas was intrigued. Tell me more, he said. The director explained that the NGO worked with underprivileged families. They provided food, clothing, and medical assistance. But we need help to continue our work, she said. Lucas was moved. I want to help, he said. They met to discuss the details. Lucas proposed a partnership. I will donate 10% of my monthly profits to the NGO, he said. The director smiled. That would be amazing, she said. The partnership was formalized. Lucas began donating regularly. The NGO could expand its work, and more people were helped. Lucas also started volunteering at the NGO. He helped distribute food and clothing, and he became a mentor for at-risk youth. "This partnership is a dream come true," Lucas said. The NGO and Lucas began receiving recognition. They were awarded for their philanthropy, and their story inspired others. "Lucas is an example of how we can make a difference," said the NGO's director. Lucas smiled. "It's a privilege to help," he said. And he continued to work with the NGO and his community to make the world a better place. The partnership between Lucas and the NGO became a model for other companies and organizations. They proved that philanthropy can be a powerful force for changing lives and making the world better. The dream realized. Lucas had always dreamed of building an orphanage for underprivileged children. He knew there were many children who needed a safe and loving home, and he wanted to provide that for them. With the partnership with the NGO, Lucas finally had the necessary resources. He bought a large piece of land and began to build the orphanage. He wanted it to be a welcoming place with comfortable rooms and a play area. Lucas worked tirelessly to ensure that the orphanage was perfect. He hired a team of professionals to care for the children and provide education and training. The orphanage was named House of Love and was inaugurated with an emotional ceremony. Lucas was there with the NGO's director and the children who would live there. "This is the happiest moment of my life," Lucas said. The children began to arrive and were welcomed with love and care. The orphanage became a home for 50 underprivileged children, and Lucas became a father to them. He visited the orphanage every day and helped with activities. The children adored him, and Lucas felt fulfilled. "I did what I always wanted," he said. The orphanage became a model for other institutions, and Lucas was recognized as an exemplary philanthropist. He received awards and honors, but for Lucas, the greatest reward was seeing the children happy and knowing he had made a difference. "I can't ask for more," said Lucas, and he continued to work to ensure the children had a bright future. Lucas's legacy was being built, and he knew he would be remembered as someone who changed lives and made the world better. The cycle of life. Lucas was sitting on his porch, watching the sunset. He reflected on his journey, from selling candies on the street to building the orphanage. "I never imagined I would get here," he thought. He remembered his difficult childhood, the loss of his father, and the struggle to care for his mother. But he also remembered the hope, the determination, of the kindness of the people who helped him. "I wouldn't be here without them," he said. Lucas thought of Gabriel, his guardian angel, who inspired him to help others. "He showed me the way," he said. He thought of the children at the orphanage, who now had a home and a chance for a better future. "I'm making a difference," he said. Lucas stood up and looked at the sky. "I'm grateful," he said, for everything he had gone through, for everything he had achieved. He knew his journey wasn't over, but he was ready for the next chapter. "I'm ready to continue," he said, and smiled, knowing his life had changed, and that he had changed the lives of others. Lucas's life cycle was complete, but he knew there was more to come, more challenges, more opportunities, more lives to change, and he was prepared to face it all, with love, with kindness, with determination. This is the story of Lucas, a man who changed his life, and the lives of others, a man who proved that we can all make a difference. And now, the story of Lucas continues, in his heart, in his soul, and in all the lives he touched. The new generation. Lucas knew his journey wasn't over. He wanted to keep making a difference, but now in a different way. He started to focus on inspiring a new generation of young people to become philanthropists. He knew that the youth were the future, and that if he could inspire them to make a difference, he could create a lasting impact. He began visiting schools and universities, sharing his story and his experiences. He talked about how he started selling candy on the street, how he built his business, and how he created the orphanage. He spoke about the challenges he faced and how he overcame them. He shared his passion for philanthropy and his belief that everyone can make a difference. The youth were fascinated by Lucas's story. They identified with his determination and kindness. They began to wonder how they could make a difference in their own communities. Lucas encouraged them to find their passions and use their talents to help others. He introduced them to organizations and projects that needed help. A group of young people approached Lucas after a lecture. "We want to help," they said. "We want to make a difference." Lucas smiled. "I'm here to help you," he said. He guided them to create a philanthropy project at their school. They began to work together, planning events and activities to raise funds for the orphanage. The new generation of philanthropists was being born. Lucas was proud to see the young people getting involved and making a difference. He knew his journey was complete, but theirs was just beginning. He looked forward to seeing the impact they would have on the world. Years later, Lucas received an invitation to an awards ceremony. One of the young people he had inspired was being recognized for his philanthropic work. Lucas was there, smiling, as the young man received the award. "I wouldn't have done this without you," the young man said. Lucas hugged him. "You are the future," he said. "You are proof that we can make a difference." And so the story of Lucas continued. A story of inspiration and philanthropy. A story that showed that we can all make a difference, regardless of age or experience. The new generation of philanthropists was growing, and Lucas was proud to have been a part of it. The eternal legacy. Lucas knew his journey was coming to an end. He had lived a life full of love, hope, and generosity. He had left a lasting impact on his community and around the world. He had inspired a new generation of philanthropists and had created a legacy that would be remembered for generations to come. His orphanage was thriving, providing a safe and loving home for hundreds of children. His candy business was being managed by a skilled team, continuing to provide jobs and income for many families. His story had been told in books, films, and documentaries, inspiring millions of people around the world. But above all, Lucas knew that his most important legacy was the love he had shared with others. He had shown that we can all make a difference, regardless of our age, experience, or resources. He had proven that kindness and generosity can change the world. In his final days, Lucas was surrounded by those he loved. His children from the orphanage were there, crying and laughing at the same time. His friends and family were there, thanking him for everything he had done for them. And in the end, Lucas smiled, knowing he had left an eternal legacy. And now his story is being told to you. A story of love, hope, and generosity. A story that shows that we can all make a difference. What will you do with this inspiration? Will you share love and kindness with others? Will you create an eternal legacy? And so ends the story of Lucas, a man who changed the world with his love and generosity. We hope his story has inspired you to make a difference in your community and the world. If you were inspired by Lucas's story, share your own philanthropy story with us. Leave a comment below telling how you are making a difference in your community. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories and tips on how to make a difference in the world. Share this story with your friends and family to inspire them to make a difference. Thank you for reading Lucas's story. Remember, we can all make a difference.